Where all my Billy Clan members at? Watching 40 Days of Fashion, tuning in from day to day. Wondering what Billy doing next. Fashion, money, stacks and stacks. Go get y'all to go y'all back. It's the 14th day. The 14th day. The 14th day. Today I'm going to set the record straight about a couple things regarding being a fashion designer. But before we get started with that, I want to make sure y'all do 4 things. I just need y'all to do 4 things by the end of this video. And that is like, comment, share, and subscribe. That's all I need y'all to do. That is all I need y'all to do. Engage. You and me. To each other. The first common fashion designer misconception is that we must be perfect. In order for you to be a fashion designer, you have to be perfect. You have to be in the know of everything. You have to know what's happening, when it's happening, why it's happening, where it's happening. You need to be able to know every single designer there is, from the first piece they've made up until this last piece they made. And Milan, Paris, New York, Los Angeles, that's not true. Okay, that is not true. In my opinion, when it comes to being a fashion designer and perfection, you're only as perfect as you allow yourself to be. And by that I mean, if you get the education, you do the research, you plan properly, and you actually put in the work to learn what you need to learn that's relevant for what you want to do, depending on what you want to be in the fashion industry. As long as you do that and you know how to do that, forwards, backwards, upside down, and right side up, you'll be good in the fashion industry. Specifically, you'll be a good fashion designer. That's what I think, in my opinion. But society says that you need to be a perfect designer because they just think that since when it comes to fashion design, it's so particular, especially like certain details and like stitch orders and fabric selections, and when it comes to knowing these, because we're constantly being compared to the greats, as small designers, and then here's the greats, and they make that comparison. It's like, oh, they were able to do this, that, and the third. Louis V, Dior, so on and so forth, Coco Chanel, Balenciaga, and it's like, here you come on the scene, it's like, you can't do what they do, so they're not going to be able to make it in the industry. But you got to prove them wrong, okay? Wrong. You may not be as perfect as them, and let's be honest, they probably were not perfect. Those bigger designers that we know and love created the idea of perfection just by their work and their crafts and techniques, the way they ran their business, the way they carried themselves, the way they educated and learned. Those created the norms for perfection. But perfection does not exist. There's no such thing as perfect. Another common misconception is that in order to be a fashion designer, you have to either work or live in Los Angeles and New York, or even Paris. And that is not true. You can be anywhere in the world and become a great, successful fashion designer. As long as you have the expertise, the knowledge, the skills, you can be a fashion designer virtually anywhere. They say these are since they're like the 3 main capitals of fashion, that's why they say that people must only live there. They must only work out there to actually make it. And that's just where they work at. Fashion designers, they're always in New York and LA and Paris. But on a serious note, you could be in any country, any city. Fashion is everywhere. And as long as you live in a city that requires people to wear clothing, there's going to be, they're probably going to even be local fashion designers. People that don't even live in neither of those 3 cities I just named. But they're probably the source of those people having clothes, like in the smaller rural areas. So you don't have to only live in those places. You could be anywhere, as long as you do what you have to do to become a successful designer. The third common misconception: all designers do is party and network. Okay, networking is very important. It's very important. And partying is a good way to network and learn about other people and get new opportunities. There's a lot of things that go into becoming a fashion designer. Fashion designers have a lot of jobs and tasks to complete. They have to first come up with an idea from a source of inspiration for a collection or a garment. Then they have to sketch out that design or even use CAD to help them. After that, they either have to make a pattern or drape on a dress form the fabric that they need, that they're going to be using. They have to create mock-ups or prototypes, because you don't want to like start your rough draft of the design on the actual fabric you're going to be working on. You're going to waste your money and you're going to waste your time. So they want to do that. They have to do the prototype on muslin. Then after that, they decided what they actually want to use. They come to a consensus with their team. They're like, okay, we all agreed that we're going to do this, that, and the third. They have to actually design the garments and purchase and use and cut out the fabrics that they're actually going to use for the collections. Then they have to market it depending on how their business is set up. They have to market the designs and the finished products. They have to put it on the runway. They have to put it in stores, depending on, like I said, depending on how they do their things. Sometimes the design resale customer, just like linear supply chain. It just depends on how they work. There's plenty of other tasks that exclude networking and partying. And there's also a lot of traveling that they do. They have to travel, whether that's in their country, out of country, back and forth, a mixture of the two. They have to always be moving around, going somewhere. There's always something new. There's always these fashion shows to attend. There's always fashion shows being held that they decide to hold in other locations that require them to travel. And they may have a party after. They might have a party to celebrate after, because that is a lot of work. That is a lot of mental strain on them. So they have to party and relax and build new connections and gain more motivation, because you just never know who you're going to meet by having these events. Fourth common misconception, that it's hard to become a designer. It's not hard. There's plenty of self-taught designers. I see plenty of them on social media, and I'm pretty amazed by how well their designs come out. Like, to be honest, like, they're actually amazing designs, and it's like really kudos to them, because that stuff is hard. Like, some of them, it's like, how you do that? So it's not hard to become a designer. If it's that simple to the point where they're able to teach themselves, they can teach anybody. So you don't have to go to a school, which leads me into my next point, my next misconception. Number 5, you have to go to a design school to become a fashion designer. This is not true. I know this is probably something that people are told, or like they research, and like the greats probably tell them, oh, you have to get this education and this and that. It's a mixture of things you have to do to become a designer. If you really think about it, you take your time out and you buy the books. You do the research online, pre-existing designers, models, textile scientists, visual merchandisers, advertisers, fashion editors on any level, entry level, the beginners, intermediate, or professional advanced levels. If you interact with all these people and you do those other 3 things I mentioned, you will become a great designer. You have to also get some type of experience, because you can't learn how to be a designer if you've never designed anything. If you just sitting here absorbing all information, just okay, oh, we getting this, we getting that, but if you never actually designed anything, you never sat in front of a sewing machine or a surgery and began actually sewing and applying the knowledge isn't going anywhere. It's just going to stay up here. You have to apply it somewhere, and that's how you learn. That is exactly how you learn. You start off small, you start off simple, and then you gradually go into more advanced and complex designs. And that is what wows people. Or the 6th misconception is that all designers are uppity, they're flashy, they're bougie, they don't want to talk to anybody. That's not true. I think I'm a pretty cool person. I really don't like to brag on myself. I'd rather let other people say that about me, but I think I'm a pretty cool person. So like, as a designer, I'm always ready to network with people of all kinds of walks of life. Whatever they do, whatever area or level they're at, if I genuinely like them, I like what they do, their vibe, I'm going to want to gravitate towards them. So I wouldn't say that I'm an uppity person as a upcoming fashion designer. But if there is some not so great energy, I will keep my distance. But I feel like that's something everybody does. You really got to be humble in any career you're in, especially a fashion career, because just like every other industry and business, the only reason why you're making money is because people are buying your stuff. If nobody was buying your stuff, nobody saw any potential in you, you would not be as far as you are right now. So you got to be humble. The 7th common misconception is that fashion designers only get their inspiration from trends. Like we made a video a couple days ago. I get my inspiration from many sources. Dreams, daydreams, and by daydreams I'm talking about I literally just be zoning out, and like in that zoning out, I'm seeing things, ideas, I'm thinking about ideas. I'm like, ooh, I gotta write that down. I gotta put that in my notes app or something like that right quick. I get my ideas from nature, architecture, art, previous sketches, something I see online. There's different areas for you to draw ideas from. They don't always have to be something that's trending. And what they're also having, the macro and the micro trends, things are changing all the time. But that happens in the fashion industry, don't get me wrong. There's so many trends that's going on. You don't even know which one to hop on. If you do take inspiration from a micro trend, you have to hop on that ASAP, because it's going to be a trend today. and tomorrow's gonna be something else. That's just how fast microtrends be going. But I really do think that it's slowing down, like when it comes to like all these different trends popping off from here, bam, 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 bam. I also take inspiration from things that are like the way something is made, like a book. I would take inspiration from that. An appliance. You know, you gotta really be creative and tap into that level of creativity to max out all your badges with precise accuracy. You have to really look at everything and see potential, creative potential in every single thing. You need to be able to think out the box, basically. And if you can't do that, and you can't always come up with ideas on the fly like that, you're not really going to make it as a fashion designer. At least not long. Now, if you have an audience, if your target market are people who are minimalists, and they're okay with that, like all the, okay, I just want it to be something simple, something cute, you know, then it's going to be easy to appeal to them. But if you have an audience, a target market that is a maximalist, or they just like fun and excited, you need to make sure that you are coming up with the trends that are just spot on, and you're just like, yes, this is what the people want. The 8th misconception is that fashion designers are not fluid when it comes to body types and genders. You know, as a fashion designer, I learned this in Fashion and Society, that it's really important to consider people's gender identities, their cultures, their preferences, because those things make them who they are. You have to do your psychographic research on your target market. You have to figure out why do they buy what they buy. And you also have to do your demographics as well. Who is buying my stuff? Who do I want to buy my thing? What type of lifestyle do they live? What are their spending habits? How do they shop? How do they dress in a particular region in which I want to target my audience with? And that's a geographic part of target markets. Where are they located? And this could be as large as a country or as small as a city or a town. What are they doing? What are my target audience doing at the moment? And that could be as something as small of a detail as their gender. Not everyone identifies as male or female. And whether you agree with their preferences or not, you still have to respect who they are and who they decide to identify as. When it comes to being gender fluid and body type fluid, you need to make sure that your clothes fit those people. So speaking of body types, when it comes to people with disabilities, some disabilities leave people in conditions to where they cannot dress themselves. Their caregiver or them themselves need to be able to easily get in and out of their clothing. That's another thing you need to make sure you consider when designing your clothes, if people with disabilities are your target market or you would like to include them in your target market. When it comes to members of your target market that are either plus size or slimmer, you need to make sure that your clothes are accommodating them. Now, if you want to include both of those body types, you need to really put a lot of thought into your designs. Not all designers cater to just one specific body type or one specific gender. Some are unisex. For example, Telfar, we talked about this on day one. Telfar is a unisex brand. It's for people who are male, female, or don't identify as neither. It's for everyone. It's literally for everybody. Some people, they don't include everyone, and that's okay. That's just who they decide to target, you know? It's your design. It's your brand. So you can target whoever you want to target. Last but not least, this is another misconception. When it comes to this type of stuff, we see it a lot in media. We see it a lot on television shows, movies, social media, magazines, stuff like that. We see it a lot. I really wish that there was more inclusivity when it comes to body types. I mean, it's on the forefront. It's a real small operation, but I just want it to become more mainstream. At least the 9th misconception is that all fashion designers use slim models. Personally, I do not only want to use a slim model when I begin my brand. There's just something about when I choose people for modeling, I see something about them. It's like, okay, yeah, I analyze them from head to toe, and I pick up and I read their energy. And once I create that when I do that analysis of them, that helps me determine if they are a good fit to be a model. Because, yeah, you can have the body type, but if you have the energy and the energy is off, I don't want you to model for me. I don't want you working for me. I don't need to be clashing with people. I don't need you clashing with people. We all need to work together. When it comes to modeling, nowadays, okay, anybody could be a model. And it used to be, you have to be the standard size 8. You have to be really slim. But nowadays, with things changing and society changing and warping as a whole, people are becoming more accepting and more inclusive, and that's also with the help of Gen Z. They want to see everyone included, no matter how your body type is, no matter what you do and how you look. They want you to be included. It's not even only about like body, like your skin texture. If you have vitiligo, if you're darker skinned, if you're paler, if you're intermediate just whatever you are. If you have acne prone skin, they want it all because it's unique. It's what makes us human. Some things you can't change. You know, if you have certain health conditions that make you gain weight or lose weight sooner or quicker, you can't help that. Even if you don't. I mean, people are the way they are for a reason. Like, sometimes it's genetic. Sometimes it's situational, and they're going through something mentally at that moment. And you just need to help those people. You need to help them by allowing them to show who they really are. I mean, on the runway. I don't want people to pretend to be somebody they're not on my runway. I want my models to actually feel comfortable in their skin. I want them to be themselves and feel like themselves instead of having to do all this crazy stuff to become accepted. For the cheerleaders, for sports teams, Hollywood, everything. They want people to change their bodies and maintain this slim body. I have my views about each of these misconceptions. I gave you all a little tip of the iceberg about how I feel about each of these. I don't agree with most of them, like the models have to be slim or like everybody is perfect and stuff like that. Every industry has its own misconceptions, but it is up to you to decide whether as a designer you want to fall into that category or you don't want to. If you want to be part of that, well, you have your reasons. And same for if you don't want to be. All I gotta say is be true to yourself. If there's something you want to go a certain way, allow it to go that way because you want it to go that way, not because you're trying to make everybody happy. And that's another thing when it comes to being a fashion designer. You can't make everybody happy. And that go for anything. You can't make anybody happy. Keep doing what you do. Whatever visions you have for your brand, startup or ongoing, do them. Because I would rather you carry them out, see if they work out. Then in years from now, oh man, I wish, or seeing somebody do the same exact thing you would thought you were going to do. Oh, I thought about doing that. I wanted to do that. I was going to do that. Do it. I think that's enough venting today about fashion design and misconceptions. If y'all like this video, y'all already know what to do. Come back for day 15. We're making good progress, y'all. We're making real good progress. Day 15, it's going to be 25 days after that, y'all. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, but for real, thank y'all for watching, and make sure y'all come back tomorrow.